Hello, welcome back to my channel. So I have a very weird job. This job that I have didn't exist 10, 20 years ago when I was younger, thinking about, what do I want to be when I grow up? YouTuber didn't exist. But this career that I've carved out for myself online, talking about sex and relationships, is really new, but it's also the longest job I've ever had. It's actually coming up to my 10-year anniversary on YouTube. 10 years. I feel like I should do something special for it. I don't know what. Please help me out. But 10 years is a long time, so I feel like I need to mark it with something special. So I've been making YouTube videos for almost 10 years. I've been able to make money from making YouTube videos for about 9 years, and I have been full-time doing this as my job, as my career for about 6 years. Whoa. So this is the longest job I've ever had, and I thought I would look back on some of my previous jobs, my previous employment. I love watching people's videos about their old jobs, and it's not something that I've really shared much about before, and so I'm just gonna dive right in. So job number one, very much a cliche, babysitting. My mum was the first of her friends to have children by a good 7 or 8 years, and so by the time I turned 13, 14, there were plenty of children for me to look after whilst my mum and her friends all went out for their dinners and their drinks and their parties and events. So that was a pretty good gig that I had going, because most of the people that I babysat for were friends of my parents. I'd known them my entire life, and I'd known their kids since the day that they were born. One of the weirdest experiences though was going back home for Christmas one year and being in the pub on Christmas Eve, and then one of the boys that I used to babysit for coming over and saying hello with his voice low, an 18-year-old man, and I was like, what on earth? You were a child. I think I babysat for a good few years until I passed the torch on to my younger sister, and then she became the babysitter. How much was I paid then? So this would have been around 2006. Was I paid £5 an hour? Maybe less than that, maybe $3.50 an hour? I honestly don't know. I don't remember. I feel like I got promoted to £5 an hour at one point. So the second job that I ever had, which is maybe a bit unusual, I was an admin assistant for a youth theatre, and this was between the age of 16 and 18, so this was when I was at sixth form college. I'd previously volunteered with this youth theatre as part of my Duke of Edinburgh silver. This youth theatre was every Saturday morning, and there were 3 different age groups, so there was the 6 to 9 year olds, the 9 to 12 year olds, and then the 12 to 18 year olds. And when I volunteered with them, I helped out with the 6 to 9 year olds, and we would do drama workshops with them, and they were so cute. I loved them so much. And then after my volunteering was over, I was offered an admin assistant job. So basically every Saturday morning, I would sit there and take the parents' payments and put them all into a spreadsheet and mark attendance for everybody. And this was a job that I shared with my friend, so there was 2 of us doing it. I didn't get to do the drama with the little kids anymore, which was kind of sad, but I still got to see them on their breaks. Most of our work was done within the first half an hour, because once people were in their workshops and the lessons, then we just kind of sat on the computer and played a lot of Minesweeper. This was the time when I completed expert on Minesweeper. I really loved that job. The kids were amazing, and I got to satisfy my love of spreadsheets. But then I left school. I left college. I got my A-levels. So these next few jobs are the jobs that I had on my gap year whilst me and my then boyfriend were saving up to go traveling. We went to Brazil for a month. I used to do capoeira, and he did capoeira as well, and we went to Brazil for a month and did lots of training. It was amazing. But I was job hunting, and this is when I get bad at jobs. So one of the jobs that I had was being one of those people on the streets who are fundraising for a charity. Those people are like, hi, can I just speak to you for a moment? I hated this job. It was ridiculously well paid. The hourly rate was insane. It was the most I'd ever been paid for anything. But here's the thing, I was just bad at it. I felt really uncomfortable asking people for money. I was not very enthusiastic in my pitches. I just felt like I was harassing people. I think I got one person to sign up for a direct debit over a week, and then they fired me because I was not hitting my quota. They wanted you to hit like 3 a day was the aim. And yeah, I did not do that. So one day they just brought me into the office and they're like, this isn't working. And I was like, you're right, it is not working. I hate this. Money was good, but nah. And then I got 2 jobs at the same time, but they were both part-time. So I took both of them, but then eventually one became more hours than the other. So I ended up just sticking with one. But the first one, the one that I dropped, was at a kids' play area. So think like Wacky Warehouse. It was like one of those style places. So I originally got a job there as a receptionist, but I felt way over my head with it. Yes, I love organization. Yes, I love spreadsheets. But I think I'd had maybe like 20 minutes of an introduction of like how things work, very much still getting to grips with how to take payments over the phone, how to book parties, and like all of this kind of stuff. And then the woman who normally was running the reception was on her lunch break, and there was a phone call coming in of someone booking a party, and then there were people in person trying to book something as well. And I was just like, fuck, in at the deep end. But they didn't give me any time to continue on reception and like practice and get better. What happened was there was a job in the cafe area, and so they moved me to there. So I was like a server there, taking people's food orders and being a waitress and giving them out their food orders. I loved it in the cafe. One, shit food, fish fingers, chips, chicken nuggets, beans. Oh, my lunches were so unhealthy, but it looked like my favourite kind of food, kids' food. And there's just something really satisfying taking people's orders and like doing it on a till and then like delivering them orders to their tables. I don't know, I really loved it. Obviously, it wasn't an environment like retail or like waiting in a proper restaurant or anything like that. So I can't speak to the stresses of those jobs. I really enjoyed the small time that I spent there in the cafe. But the job that I ended up sticking with and basically kind of doing full time for a few months as I saved up money for traveling was working at a vegan grocery / supermarket. The supermarket was a cooperative, so all of the main members of staff were members of the co-op, and then they had a tier for casual workers, and I was one of the casual workers. So being a casual worker meant being in the back and packing up all of the food, and it was so satisfying and so fun. First of all, you're in the back, there's a bunch of you in there, you're listening to music, you get to chat. It's just very chill. But think big bags of nuts, big bags of pulses, big bags of dry fruit, grains, like massive, like 25 kilo bags of them. And then think that they have to then be put into smaller bags, labeled, sealed, and then like put out onto the shelves. I found it so satisfying, scooping out the stuff, weighing it, and then like putting the sticky labels on the bags and like tying it up. Does anyone know what this is? I don't know what those machines are, but like think something that you like push like a plastic bag through and it like seals it. The one downfall of that was that it was cold. It was so cold back there. I used to wear thermals like underneath my clothes because it got very cold back there. And then after a while, as someone packing up stuff in the back, I got trained on the tills. Loved that as well. People who go shopping in a vegan supermarket are very lovely, very friendly people. There was a lot to learn on the till as well because they have like this huge fresh fruit and veg section where nothing is like wrapped up in plastics. It's all just loose. I had to learn what all of the different items were, and it's all seasonal as well. So I actually worked for them during those few months before I went to Brazil, which was like autumn, winter time. And then I worked with them again when I came back over the summer before I went to university. And like I sat down on the till and it was like strawberries, berries. And I was like, where are the butternut squashes? I had to learn a whole new till because of the seasonal produce. I really loved this job. It was super flexible. The guy who did the rota for the casual workers would just come round and be like, what shifts do you want next week? These are the ones that are available. And you'd be like, boom, boom, boom. I would like those ones, thank you. Got paid weekly. And then because it was a co-op as well, it meant that everybody chipped in with the shit tasks as well. So at the end of the day, sometimes you would be done when the shop closed and you would go home, but other times you would be on cleaning duty and there'd just be a cleaning rota and you would do different cleaning every time. And the people who were like the members of the co-op were also cleaning the toilets, and the casual workers were also cleaning the toilets. I really enjoyed cleaning the toilets at the end of the day because you were talking to people all day, and then cleaning the toilets was just like this moment of solitude, and I really liked it. When I was planning this video and writing down all of my jobs, I forgot this next massive one. I've just remembered now. On my gap year, I also was an au pair in France. That was a job. I did that for 5 months. I lived with a family just outside of Paris. I looked after the kids, made them food, played games with them, read them bedtime stories, the whole shebang. I also really loved that job. Absolutely loved those kids. They were amazing. The house that I lived in was beautiful. The village that I was in was gorgeous. I was a short train ride from Paris. I love Paris. I had a really great relationship with the mum, and at one point my parents came out and visit, and like my two families met each other, and it was beautiful. So yeah, I was an au pair. That's another job that I had. One of the downsides of doing that, and especially the location of where I lived, I found it quite isolating. There were no other young people my age around. All of the people my age that I met were people from my French course in Paris, but I could only really see them during the day and then on the weekends. I couldn't really do anything weekday evenings, but that was when I started watching lots of YouTube and started making videos and editing them with all of those hours that I had alone. So pros and cons. This probably would never be happening if I hadn't have taken that au pair job and had all of those hours alone in the French countryside. We're moving on to university days now. I can't remember if I had a job in my first year at uni. I think I just wanted to do all of the fun stuff and was like, I will worry about getting a part-time job later. And I'd done that summer of working at the grocery, and I'd had money from being an au pair as well. So I wasn't too worried. I was just like, first year, let's just have a good time. But then in second year, I got myself a part-time job at the careers network at my university, which was so convenient because it was on campus and it was like a few hours a week, and so it was so easy to like slot into my uni student schedule. I was a social media assistant, so it also fitted in really nicely to what I was doing online, because when I was at uni I was also making these YouTube videos and doing the social media thing as a hobby. But basically what I was doing for them was scheduling tweets and putting together the Careers Network newsletter. I started out doing it for the School of Engineering, and then I got to move to the College of Arts and Law, which was great because that was my college. It includes things like history, English, like the humanities basically. So I got to schedule tweets and write newsletters that felt relevant to me. I didn't really understand many of the engineering tweets that I was scheduling. So I did that in my second and third year at uni, and it was great. I became a LinkedIn mentor for other students. I don't think that was paid. I think I just volunteered to do that because I liked LinkedIn and teaching people things. But yes, then I graduated and I moved to London, to the big smoke. This was when I was like, I'm gonna try and make this YouTube thing happen, but I wasn't earning enough from YouTube to be able to make it a full-time job. So I went hunting for some part-time jobs, and I needed flexibility. So I basically applied to become a catering staff for one of those like catering agencies where you just get to like pick your shifts and stuff. One of the things that I didn't realize though is that you basically have to pay for the training and your uniform out of pocket before you even have gotten any shifts. Also, I found it really difficult to find me a pair of smart black trousers that I could afford and that fitted me in terms of length, and I had no access to a sewing machine or anything, and I stapled the bottom of my trousers up. I feel like I got that idea from someone on Twitter. I feel like I was like, what am I supposed to do? And someone was like, staple them. And I did. I think I did like 3 shifts with them before I got this other job. And it was fine. I liked that it was flexible. I kind of enjoyed learning a new skill and like understanding like how you're supposed to like lay tables, and also like how you're supposed to serve people depending on like if it's a fancy event, how to uncork a bottle of wine at a table whilst people are watching you and the pressure is on. That's a skill. So I quit that job after I got offered a job at The Site, now known as The Mix. The Mix are a young people's charity, and they have a ton of online content and advice about sex and relationships, mental health, school, work and career, and all sorts of other stuff that affects young people. Whilst I was at uni, I'd made some videos for them, so I already knew the team there, and then when I moved to London, we kind of had a few conversations, and then they offered me a job as an assistant multimedia producer. I can't remember what the title was. I think it was that. And basically I helped to run their YouTube channel. So I would develop video ideas, I would research and script them, and then I would host them. This was 2 days a week, which was really great. And then I could spend the rest of my time doing my own YouTube stuff. And it was actually at this job that I met Holly Bourne, who is an author. Some of you may have read her books and seen her on this channel before, but that was where we met and became friends. And I did that job for just under a year. I think about 10 months before I went full-time solo, independent, doing it myself. But yeah, those are all of the jobs that I have ever had. I realized just going through this and talking about them, just how happy I am. I'm like, oh, that job was really great and that job was really great. And not everybody has those experiences. I'm really grateful for my weird career trajectory, and also the casual part-time jobs that I had that were nothing to do with the career that I have, but I still really enjoyed. I honestly would go back and work as a food packer and at the till in that grocery again. I loved it. You'll catch me in there when I'm retired and just need something to do. I'm back here again, packing some stuff. Probably wouldn't be able to carry the 25-kilo bags though. Well, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this little insight into my employment history. Feel free to share in the comments jobs that you have had or currently have, things that you hated, things that you loved. I want to hear about it. Now I just need to figure out what on earth to do for my 10-year YouTube anniversary. Please help. I hope that you're well, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.